Yeah, hi, good afternoon, everyone. Again, thanks for being patient with us. I think we are running a little late, but we'll try to make up for a little bit of time lost over lunch. I have a really an esteemed and very interesting panel. It's also a very diverse panel. Lots of industries being represented, lots of great experience. These are the people who are doing real world work. They are the practitioners on the ground, who are living and breathing customer experience and customer service on a day-to-day basis. So I really, want to try and get them to, share some of those, insights that I think, we can all benefit from. What I'll do is I have a bunch of questions that I'm going to pose, and I'll ask each one of you to just do a quick intro about yourself before you answer the question, and wherever possible, please give real-world examples. As I said, I think that's what I think the audience would really appreciate it. So let me start out at a very high level. Again, taking on the theme of this particular panel, which is, how do you build a framework for customer experience? I think everybody agrees that customer experience is important. We've all heard statistics about, if you don't get it right, consumers are going to switch brands and, all of that stuff. I think there is absolutely no debate about that. But the question is, okay, how do you actually go about building a holistic framework? What are going to be some, foundational building blocks of that framework? What should it include? How do you prioritize? I think, a lot of these questions, arise when we talk about, typically about a framework. So can I come to you, Cyril, first? If you could sort of, take the question, but please introduce yourself and go ahead.
Hi, first of all, thank you, Gain Skills, for inviting me and making me a part of this esteemed panel. My name is Cyril Mohapatra. I head the solutions delivery for IndusInd Bank and handling roughly around 27 platforms, right from channels to engagement to data analytics. Yeah. So coming back to you, Sridhar, I think the biggest foundation to create a framework around customer experience is first you need to understand why. And why comes from why do you want to have a framework around? Have you understood the pain points? What is your problem areas? Have you heard the voice of the customer? Is your own internal processes stroke the technology that you're offering today are geared up to answer some of these? So first you need to understand why you want to do this, understand the pain points, and then of course you might have 1,000 things, but it's very important to understand how and when are you going to deliver these, or address these issues. For that, you need to first start to prioritize in terms of the big ticket items or the high impact items, which can, and also high impact items comes with a price, right? It's not like overnight you will be able to do it. So high impact items, what is your time to market and what is your return on investment? Two. Third is, when you're addressing these problems, obviously either you're addressing through your front end channels, through your online channels, which means that how well is your user journey is defined. Is your user journey simplified, or you're just making a customer confused and adding more problems for him? So simplifying the user journey, making it as simple as it can be, at the same time adopting the best design principles behind it. Have you mapped your APIs in a proper manner? Is your orchestration layer, when you're designing or when you're giving an experience to the customer, is adopting the best design principles? Yeah. And then when you take this towards the implementation phase, it has to run like a machinery, right? Because in a development cycle, or we call it in a CI/CD pipeline, it's a factory, right? Every time you pick up the stories, you take it for development, you do the testing and you implement, right? What is that duration? How well is your entire governance mechanism, your project mechanism, as well as ensuring that the blockages, or the keeping in mind the last mile delivery, you are continuously monitoring that. Then of course, how do you communicate to the customer? Are you just launching just for the sake of it, or you're also engaging with the customer and educating the customer that this is the problem that we are solving for you? So I think it's a journey. But if you have this whole broader framework
Yeah.
ready, then it works like a machinery in any organization. Forget banking, but in any organization. That's my take on that.
Great. Thanks, Cyril. That was really insightful. Does anybody else want to add anything to what Cyril just said? Tariq, you want to?
Yeah, so I'll just introduce myself first.
Sure.
Hi, so first of all, thanks for inviting me for the conference. My name is Tariq Mustafa. I represent an organization called Willis Towers Watson. You may not know a lot of you, so I'll just share with you. It's a leading insurance broking organization. It's a risk advisory organization working across 140 countries in the globe, and it is the third largest in the world. So now, and we are more into corporate business. So we are like more into B2B or B2B2E. B2C is less, but with the experience, past experiences, I'll talk about a few things. So just to add to what Cyril mentioned, I think one of the most important thing for any digital customer experience or program is to keep the customer in the center.
Yeah.
Design everything what would be needing, whether it is, most important, as he rightly mentioned, design thinking, simplicity of use, attractive. And let's say when we talk about B2C, channel flexibility, like you mentioned. So those are then even, so if we keep these few parameters in addition to what he said, that will make a much better customer experience in the complete CX, DX.
Great. I couldn't agree more on that. So let me pick up on this channels that you talked about. And one of the biggest, I think, challenges that a lot of organizations and, including some of the ones, represented here, I would presume is this whole offline and online, world, right? Of course, these worlds are colliding, leading to words like, phygital and so on and so forth. But I would also presume that it's not just the channel itself, but there is an opportunity to not only serve the customer, but also collect a lot of information and data about consumer behavior, what are their preferences, and so on and so forth. So how do you actually, go about collecting data? What amount of data is good enough? And then, how do you use the data to make these, trade-offs, hopefully? Because you can't be everywhere, right? I'm assuming that, again, even within those channels, you need to make a decision on, where to invest and so on and so forth. How do you see that, from your perspective?
Okay, so I'll give a real use case, what we are doing. As I said, we are primarily B2B, but we go to reach out to customer also. So just to give you an example, we have a solution, integrated solutions with, I'm talking about a claims platform. I'm talking about insurance and an insurance claims platform, okay? So we have tied up with a large PSU, one of the leading PSU organizations in India, where most of our customers, they have like pan-India, plants. I'm talking about a manufacturing related scenario, where they ship stuff. So the cases, and I'm talking about specifically more on the marine insurance space. So they have to log their cases. So we have a claims portal given to the customer, because we are the window to the customer, our customer. So the corporate customer and their employees, they log the cases, and even their distribution channel. So it's a pan-India network. Now we have a platform. If they put the data on our platform, so we talk about direct digital. So we're fine, we get the live information for claims or any other customer journey. That's the easier part. But when you talk about the physical part, so now in this case, especially when you talk about a PSU, they have branches all over India. Whether you talk about a New India or a banking, you talk about SBI, they have much bigger than all our private players. So a lot of places, in a remote place, a person physically goes to a branch of a New India to log a case. He may fill a form physical to do it. So the journey what we are having is, we have one-way journey where the customer directly comes to our portal and we pass on the data to the insurer for the claims processing. But the reverse journey, we've tied up with the insurer where to have the complete, because the customer has to have the complete experience. The portal and the solution what we have is not just for the processing, transactional processing, it is also for data analytics and insight for the customer senior management to improve the claim ratio, to have a smoother claims, this thing. So for that purpose, we've got a reverse data feed where the physical data put in at a remote branch of a PSU is put in their system physically somewhere, and that reverse feed is coming to us. While this is not needed by the insurer to process the data, but it is to get the complete picture to the customer for their senior management to take informed decision. So that's something which we are doing and drawing insight out of it.
So Madhur, if I could invite you to this question, because again, you know, from an offline, online perspective, I think as a retailer, you exist on both these channels, so to speak. But I think, I'm sure you strive to deliver a cohesive and a consistent brand experience in terms of what Lenskart, you know, stands for. So how do you look at it from your perspective?
Sure. So thank you first of all. Hi everyone, and thank you for having me. My name is Madhur. I represent Lenskart, a company where we all work together for one single mission, which is providing vision to billion. So as simple as that intro. Yes, most of them things have been covered from the technology standpoint, and I think the start of this discussion is about collecting the data. So I think I'll take that relay from there. Like, collecting a data is obviously important for a brand like us. It's more important, and for everyone, that from where are you collecting? Is it like a right source? So focus on that instead of wasting time across everywhere. So the journey and the circle flows in a certain very simple way, which most of us know. And some of the times, you know, we don't concentrate on the small things which are very important. So I just covered that circle. So yes, collecting the data in a very possible way, and then you know, having a segmentation and a targeting around that, like making those certain cohorts around it. And I'm just typically talking about, don't to upset your customer where he start not following you, because you know, he's been bombarded, like you mentioned, about competition from different categories. Everyone is trying to tell him that whatever you're using or doing is incorrect, ours is best. So keep that segmentation on, which calls personalization, is very important. So having a right data from right platform, segmenting them and making those cohorts, and then target them at a right time. When I say time, would be relevant to the topic, be available and aligned towards his needs and his previous purchase and the search history. Internet provides you that. Don't misuse it, but be more proactive towards it. Another element which I was talking to you behind the stage also was that India is not just the country about one single language or one single way. So everyone understand in a different way, and that's why there are journeys like awareness, consideration, and conversion. So target them at a right messaging at a right time. Where does he stand? If I'm from South and I'm facing, and that's where the omnipresence comes in Lenskart. So when we collect the data, and I'll give you the flow, we collect the data, we segment them. It's offline or online data where we got that customer. We target them in a way that, okay, this is what the purchase was, and this consumer was being more comfortable towards its own language. So my messaging, my communication to him via any sort of channel would be in that. Yeah, so I tweaked that. Then, so I've covered omnipresence also for you, and then monitor it. Like, then start observing how the data is performing for you, how that customer is behaving. Where, I mean, everyone talks about entry. You should be, as a brand, be very, very conscious about when to take an exit, that we have sent something to him. Now he's getting pissed. Like, he's not clicking on that. He's not talking to you. He needs some time to understand the cycle of product also. I was previously working with a lot of beauty brands where the churn out time was 1 month. Let's say that if you use a certain product, this is the life cycle for it. So I have to retarget him again after a month. But in eyewear, I have to understand that someone have wore it. Unless I give him something very exceptional or very new, I should wait for him to come to the next purchase. But make them understand that this is not just an eyewear, it's a fashion-led brand. Yeah, if you have multiple, someone was talking about sneakers, it's a different community altogether. If you have multiple pair of shoes to match with your attire, why not the eyewear? That's the approach, and that's how we should reach out to the consumer.
Great, thanks. You want to add something, Ankit? Yeah.
Just like to add and share a personal experience. Hi everyone, my name is Ankit Goenka, and I head customer experience for Bajaj Allianz General Insurance. We're talking about data and personalization. A very personal experience recently happened with me. I was flying back to India, and the flight unfortunately got delayed. So I was waiting, for the announcement that, okay, now the flight is going to go take off and all those stuff. And all of a sudden, a crew member of that airline comes and offers me a drink and says that, Mr. Goenka, we are really sorry that, the flight got delayed, but we believe that you really like this drink because this is the same drink that you usually order when you're on board. I was delighted, right? Now, you really analyze this entire piece. Somebody had did the right job in capturing that data at the right time. That Ankit Goenka, whenever he is flying, he's basically ordering this X drink. Okay. Then somebody thought of a process around that, a scenario that in case there is a flight delay, why don't we offer that drink?
It's amazing, yeah.
It's not ending there, right? Yes, the technology must have given that alert to the airport crew there at the airport. But somebody also thought about the downstream actual delivery to make sure that that particular brand is available at that airport, right? And you have that entire whereabouts to deliver that, drink, right? So today I remember that airline not because that flight got delayed. And we have examples of certain airlines where if flight got delayed, they'll come and throw a dabba at you, right? You can resonate that, right? Right? And you'll remember that airline for that only then. That, every time this airline gets delayed. Right? So I guess using the data, at the right time, the right use case, I guess makes all of a difference.
Yeah, I think that's a great example, Ankit. And like you rightly said, they had captured the data, but they figured out a way to use it in a real world scenario. And, they obviously executed it perfectly, it looks like in your case. So that's really great. So I think, again, picking up on that, I think technology plays a fantastic role. I think, that's a sort of the common glue in terms of, being able to deliver that experience. So Shweta, what has been your experience? For example, let's say Ankit, in this case, he was very happy. So maybe he went to social media and tweeted about it, and he said, I had a great experience, but it could also have been negative, right? So how do you collect customer feedback? How do you understand the sentiment of customers, for example? And what is the role that you think technology can play and help you understand customers better in these kinds of situations?
Sure. Thank you for the question, Sridhar.
Yeah.
So I'll start by introducing myself. I'm Shweta Srivastava and I'm representing JKCement. Coming to the question that you asked, it is very, very pertinent. First of all, everybody is speaking about how do we deliver good experience to our customers at the end of the day. But unless we get the validation back that are we in the right direction, are we doing the bit that the customer is expecting from us, is very important, and that comes out of the feedback that we get. Now, how do we get feedback? Maybe different ways. The conventional, traditional ways of just filling a feedback form while you're making a transaction. Or in today's world, it may be an online survey, it may be a product review that we capture. There are social media platforms from through which people are expressing their experience for a particular product. So there are different ways that this data is again coming to us, which is pertaining to the feedback and sentiments of the customer about a brand or about a product. Now it is very, very important that we analyze that data in the right perspective. For a human to sit and analyze that data, it is a nightmare, because the sentiments, the words that are used, the adjectives that are used should be comprehended in the correct manner. So there may be humor, there may be idioms, there may be, it can be subjective, it can be ambiguous. So to make right meaning out of it, and then how do we use that data? I mean, we've got the data points, we've got the insights. Now, how are you going to use that data is equally important. Now, for doing so, there are new age technology tools available. So I'll touch upon AI-based technologies, which are helping us analyze those sentiments. So when we talk about AI, there are about 1,500 intents that an AI generally goes through, and the tool or the model gets built over a period of time and uses a lot of historical data to build certain models out of it. And then, of course, it is a continuous process where it keeps on getting trained. And then based on that, it understands the real meaning of the feedback that is collected. Now, once the feedback is understood, comprehended and interpreted, now how do we use it is again one challenge, wherein do we need to improvise the way our deliveries are, or there is a product that we are delivering but it is not completely aligned with the expectation of our customers, or maybe like I think Ankit touched upon that what time are we pitching that, where are we using that data? That's equally important. Cyril mentioned about at the right time, in the right geography, everything might not fit in everywhere. And Madhur mentioned about the language portion of it, that it has to be vernacular, it has to be regional to be perceived in the right manner. So once we are able to make those meaningful insights and use that for the betterment of our deliveries and for our manufacturing, it certainly can be used in the right way.
Great, great. Thanks for that. If I can request you, Madhur, again, just to extend this. I know you come from a marketing background, you're a marketer at heart, it seems like. But again, just building on what Shweta just said, how do you, because I look at this holistically as an experience as well, right? Even marketing campaigns can contribute to the experience. And there is a fine line between, spam and being useful, correct? And I think many organizations, they don't know where that line exists, and constantly they're always on the wrong side of the line with all kinds of, annoying messages. I'm sure they're all well-intentioned, but as a consumer, I just feel like, I'm being bombarded all the time with irrelevant messages and so on and so forth. So when you collect all this data and, you have all these generative AI tools to change the sentiment of the tone and all of that, but how do you use them effectively? Where do you know how to draw the line and how much is too much? When do you reach out to customers? How do you make these kinds of decisions?
So now, from a digital aspect, no, it's very simple to create a sensible cohort for your audience once you have a proper alignment of the data, which is falling every day. When you say about the line, to be honest, there's no line. Okay. But it's more of your understanding, because when you're making a brand, there are two ways. One, you're getting into a category which is existing, and you have to fight with the competition and for a market share. But when you're creating something from the scratch, there's no line. You're creating a different category altogether. Maybe in an existing, maybe I'm creating a water bottle again, like a mineral water, but I'm creating something out of scratch. And I have a confidence my product is different. I should have a USP aligned to that. Now what comes to play? Communication and content. Yep. Very simple words, but that's something which everyone has to understand. Whenever you launch something or whenever you're reaching out to someone, firstly create the communication going to be for that product or for that campaign. For every communication, make content buckets, that these are the content which is gonna go out from different modes. It will be different for same product, same theme, same emotion, but it will work differently on social media. That too, different on Facebook, different on Instagram, different on YouTube. Then messaging, then emailer, push notification, you can talk anything about. And these content buckets, so like let's say this mic I'm gonna sell, I should talk about first which all communication I'm gonna talk about. Best quality, best build, another few examples. Best quality, I'm gonna talk about the USP, features, how to use and how does it make different from other. The best one was best technology has been used in it. What is best being used? I've been sourcing, or made in India could be another catching point. That marketer has to think about that, what should be the messaging, what is the core is going to be. And then reach out to a consumer, and first, obviously, first base has to be ready, that whether you're competing with someone. Now, second part, once you have these two elements ready, communication and content buckets, now your cohorts come. Like I said in the previous time that, where is your customer stance? Understand the journey. Is he not aware about your brand at all? Target him in multiple times and different frequencies. By the behavior, like how frequently he would love to see it. Even see the timings if properly aligned to it. That Sir mentioned about the drink part. I'm hoping it's an empathy also that company showed to him, that he really needs it right now. They could have shown him, if I was in the morning flight and I'm going on a friend vacation and the flight got cancelled and they have refunded the money or reduced the cost, I will be more happy. Don't give me a drink, give me my money back, right? But this time evening, a person who has a persona of a corporate, and they must have that persona. This person doesn't care about that. His time is more important and valuable. That's the emotion, empathy. So I feel technology can't sense that. Yeah. And that's why humans should always think about the communication, content, right audience, where does he stand in your brand, and target him with the right message.
Great. You want to add?
Yes, Sridhar, I just wanted to add one point on the social media aspect. While Madhur was talking on the marketing side, the push side. I'm talking the pull side, on the customer feedback side, something which you were talking about. That I think it's very important to have specific channels created, whether it's a social media platform, because just maybe because people all they are there on the social media all the time. They may not come to your customer portal to log a customer or call to this thing. They are there on Facebook, Twitter, wherever. So one is that, and second what is very important is to do have something like a social listening process where you can have a technology to enable that and see the sentiment which is coming out and proactively respond to that rather than the customer coming to you. So that will lead to something like customer delight, what he was talking about on the customer complaint perspective. That's a very important aspect on social media, social listening.
Great. And again, what Madhur said is important, right? That empathy, I don't know whether it can be taught, right? Probably employees can be trained to put themselves in the shoes of the customer and so on and so forth. But I think it also boils down to the individual in that situation. Which leads me to, coming from a technology background, again, I believe that technology can, when applied in the right way, can be magical, right? So how do you use technology tools to empower your frontline? For example, if I can look at you, Ankit and Tariq and Cyril, from a financial industry perspective, you have brokers and agents and sales associates all interacting with your customers and prospects, day in, day out. They are on the front lines. So what kind of tools do you provide them to empower them to make those, hopefully, right decisions and treat customers exactly the way that they expect to be treated? So any thoughts on that?
Shweta, let me just, answer that first by, making it a little controversial. Okay.
Yeah.
Do we really need to do that or really wanting to do that as an organization, various organizations? So for example, we are talking about front-end call center agents. They are at the bottom pyramid, right? We want them to understand each and every product, each and every process, each and every SLA. We want them to show empathy, sympathy, right? Everything, right? But we don't want to empower them, right? Because then we're going to say, no, if we empower them, they're going to make those errors, they're going to do this, that, let it flow to somebody else, it will fall into the DOA and all those stuff. But why can't we make a idiot-proof process for them? Because that's the need, right? If you have the call center agent, if you have the front-end sales executive, make your processes and system absolutely idiot-proof. Then it will work, right? For example, we're talking about, generative AI and all those stuff. Why can't we have a real solution that somebody who's there on the call, I'm talking to the customer, using AI, generative AI, I'm assisting that agent. I'm not giving conversational AI to the customer. So this is a human only talking to the customer, but that AI tool is actually assisting that agent and helping that agent to make the right decision, to actually click on certain things which are right. In case he's making a mistake, the AI is only correcting it, right? And also educating, him or her that, you made this, I've corrected for you. You perhaps, manage it well next time, right? And then, the other example on the sales side, at Bajaj, what we have done is, we have actually empowered our sales force completely. They are all equipped with tabs, right? They can issue the policies there and then. They don't have to consult anybody. Yes, there would be X percentage of exceptions, right? Because I don't believe in 100% end-to-end digitization or automation. Because I'm yet to actually meet somebody who can guarantee 100% success rate or uptime where there won't be any exceptions, right? So there you need to have those, humans at the back to take care of it. But largely, we have empowered the sales guys, and they are making their calls there and then, right? That's basically, making that entire change.
Great.
I'd like to share a couple of things related to what he said. One is you spoke about the call coming and the AI supporting that. I think another option is which is that even if we use the data and history and the background of the customer and we route the call to the right agent, if there's an irate customer, it should go to a different agent or a senior guy who can handle that better based on the data. So that is another option. Second point which Ankit mentioned about was about the empowering the junior people. So in fact, I'll talk about a use case which we are doing. We are working with the insurer and a large tractor, I'll share that, John Deere. So John Deere is one of the largest tractor manufacturers in the world. So we have a program where we have a solution wherein the John Deere salesperson on ground goes to the remote villages of India, किसान में पंचायत के पास जाके, पंचायत वो जो, and he is selling insurance there. So they buy tractor, but on tractor they have to sell the life insurance also, because so we have a calculator, everything on a pad. Our solution runs on the pad. So hundreds of John Deere or thousands of John Deere salespeople on the ground, they take a call and sell insurance from there. That's where technology is making a difference in the digital transformation.
Okay, I have a slight, I won't say a difference of opinion, but just to answer your question straight away, how do I empower my frontline staff using technology? And I'm purely coming from an experience where, banking, today 70-80% of our country's population is either DE or F grade cities, right? No matter how best technology you implement and how well or simplified your user journey is, there will be cases where customer tends to drop off, okay, for multiple reasons. Either, you get stuck somewhere, you are not able to proceed, or maybe the connectivity is not good, etc. and all. And this happens, I mean, if I give you an example, say, of a Paytm or a Google Play, no matter how simple is the solution, you tend to get drop off. How do I use technology to enable my frontline to go and acquire that customer? Because that's a potential loss of opportunity for me, right? Using the same platform itself, I created an assisted mode of journey and then empower my sales guy, help the customer to onboard. That's one way. I have a classic use case where we used to have around 35-40% drop off on my savings account platform, right? It's a straight DIY journey, which is do it yourself journey. I enabled my contact center team something called as a co-browsing. Simple. Send the link to the customer, get him on board. At the same time, my contact center staff is also able to see what he's doing. Help him to navigate. I think it's a question of, how comfortable you are making the frontline staff to use the technology, A, and also empowering him to go and acquire that customer and bring value to the table.
Great.
I have just one thing and very different angle to it, okay?
Yeah.
Empower is a very strong word, okay? Empowering doesn't mean that they will do an error. If you really want to empower your team, all of us like action movies, any spy movie, right? What is the best thing? How they able to successfully deliver everything at the end? Not about strategy, not about planning, which the actual leadership does. I do, right? It's the team and the trust between them. Why India has not been very much into that? Our budgets are being allocated, just like politics, the maximum has been taken on the top level. You hire people who will make errors because they don't have an experience. If you really want to empower them, get them here, sit here. They will tell you the exact problem. Don't come to listen to us. We will give you rata again, right? Because we have done this. Yes, experience definitely add value to it. I got one of my subordinate, I would say my colleague, not junior ever. I requested him to be here today also, but they said it's very last minute. He would definitely tell you more problems and solutions than me because he deals with them daily.
Absolutely.
And I request all of you also next time when there's a panel where the people like senior managers, or even juniors are coming and talking, listen from them. They'll give you a very good learning. So maybe, and I was talking about the same earlier, and they said, you're very young, and that's a very, some sir was there, very senior to me, and he said, क्या बोला था मतलब नया खून या कुछ something. And I said, sir, I have tried this. I have done that in my team. Trust me, I'm the most relaxed person right now in my company because my team is so empowered. They do errors, they figure out themselves to solve it. They just come and tell me, ये हुआ था, ये solve हो गया. We had this problem and we will cover it by this logic. And that's given me a time to strategize and grow more for the next challenge. So whatever we watch, content is everywhere. We just keep talking about Google se nikal ke content bol diya. I don't understand that. So ask real questions, real problems, they'll definitely give you. And that's why we, in Lenskart, and I'm not saying about Lenskart, I mean, we just started this process. We go to store and we sit and we stand there as a sales officer. I have personally cleaned the glass with my cloth and give it to him, sir, please try. And the way he talks, ये खराब है, ये frame ऐसे हो गया. That's how you figure out कि आप vice president बन गए हो, but आपकी value बाहर क्या है? वो customer है, भगवान है. That I mean, I feel empowered करना है तो right पे दो, यहाँ उन्हें बुलाओ and hear them out.
So I'll communicate, I completely resonate with Madhur, what he said, and we also in JK follow this. But, we are part of IT, then there is some other support function, but when it comes to customer experience, we also try and follow this, that we go and visit the end customer. Yeah. So I'm delivering a technology, let's say I talk about a dealer management system, but unless I go and sit with my dealer, I wouldn't know what exactly is he needing. I may build something fancy, but that's not what he wants. He wants just one click and his order should be placed. So we also try and follow this.
Great. I think that's great to hear that, that you guys are really looking at people on the front line and learning from their experiences rather than dictating, sitting in some, fancy air-conditioned office somewhere. So we are unfortunately, sort of running out of time. So just one last question, and anybody who wants to pick it up, please feel free to do so. So what is the future of CX looking like? I guess, again, from my perspective, I know that technology is going to play a more and more important role, but the value of empathy and that human emotion and understanding and all of that stuff doesn't go away. So what does it really mean, from your perspective as industry practitioners and leaders who are, heading this sort of function, so to speak? What does it entail for you in the future? How are you preparing yourself for what's in the future? I don't know, do you have a crystal ball, or how do you do that? Maybe Shweta, you or
Certainly we do not have any crystal ball, and I'll not bore people talking about generative AI and all those stuff, because we saw, Nirupam talk about that. But the way I look at it, the future is 3V, okay? Where the first V is voice, conversational AI. Okay? The second V is video, right? Make it interactive. Okay? The third is keeping Bharat in mind, vernacular. So now if you combine all these 3 V's and give it to your customer, it's going to work out. That's going to create that experience, right? And while you digitize your entire physical, do not forget to humanize the digital, right? That's the critical piece.
Great. Thanks. Shweta, you want to add something?
Yeah, so I also want to say the same thing, that no matter what, technology is definitely going to support a lot of mundane tasks, but human element is not going anywhere, and that's where the real customer experience will come out.
Great. Any other final thoughts?
Give the choice to the customer to the way he wants to communicate. Because no matter whatever technology you want to implement, the technology has to be omnichannel. Give him the choice to communicate with his, institution or whatever.
I think we are right on time. I think we have a couple of minutes for any questions from the audience to any of the panelists. If anyone has a query or a clarification, or even a comment or something, if you want to say something, please go ahead. Yeah.
Rightly said that India is already a diverse country actually, and it is not about 32 states, it's 32 countries. Because once we move from one state to another state, there is a change in language, there is a change in gender, there is a change in even demography, and there is change in everything actually, even food habits, the behaviors, the way we address the customers, actually everything is changing actually. And we always say that India agar hai to wo rural India hai. And how this CX, what we are talking about today, AI, and we are talking about so many digital things today since morning, how this plays a very vital role once we are touching the Kisans, or once we are touching, you touched actually the rural in terms of tractor or selling the values. But that is not the only way. What are the ways where we see these technologies or AI tools can be utilized to have a maximum coverage in terms of customer satisfaction, or I will say the services at the rural India? If you can share some lights on this, it will be glad. Because I saw that in auto sector especially, still India is running into the rural. despite we talk about technologies in our real world, that is in the metros or tier ones, one hero gentleman already shared that that's living in tier 3 and tier 4, and with Pitanjali coming into the picture, they are talking about tier 6, tier 7. We are totally in a different world actually right now. How that this, if you throw some lights on this, it will help us to understand more about how to touch these points at the rural Indias in terms of connecting the dots. I will say that. Thank you. Thank you.
I guess, Madhur touched about it, when he talked about that, when you're talking about India regional, right, when you're going into these sectors, you need to talk their language. That's the first rule, right? Do not get into, I'm a big corporate, I'm going to talk I'm going to have my advertisement in English or Hindi, right? You have to talk their language, right? That's the first rule. And at least at Bajaj, we don't believe rural is any more rural, right? There are many use cases in our organization, for example, conversational AI bots. The rural India is using more than the tier 1, tier 2 cities. Tier 3, tier 4, tier 5, adoption of conversational bots, at least for Bajaj, is much more than tier 1 and tier 2. When we look at our mobile app, we have a dedicated app for farmers, which is called Farm Mitra. Now, every day there are at least around 3 lakh farmers engaging with us on that app. While the use case from an insurance company is only claims. So obviously they're not doing claims every day, right? They're doing much other things, right? So rural India is adopting technology. I don't see any, reason why any organization should say that we're not going to, give them technology. They are the people who will actually take your technology to the next level.
Sir, and I'm adding this example for you. Jio Cinema, IPL, there was no need of different levels of commentary. It happened, and that's how you see 1.9 crore people watching a Chennai match in somewhere else in India, in Bhojpuri language. Yeah, so that's what we were trying to say. One brand has done it, and they got the success. Now your Hotstar has given it, I'm assuming, free and with different So now Mr. Ambani have shown us the way, strong marketing, and now the next team is giving you free also World Cup and in different languages because they have understood that India is not just an OTT gives you, Netflix started giving you a movie sponsored by them in India. If you go back 6 months back, it was just English, assuming we are a pride. English is not a pride language, it's just a language.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone.
We're out of time. Thank you.
Big round of applause for all of you. And thank you so much for such a commendable panel session here. And felicity to Mr. Madhur Acharya. And with this,